Okay, our greeter, thank you, John. Good to see you back here. Okay, Marty Webb's our mic runner today.
Yes, I am.
And
I just want to remind Brian Bauer that Cal won the big game and I am waiting for a cocktail to third pig.
Yes, indeed.
sounds like fun. Okay, and I missed Scott Hensey, of course. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for the newsletter. And our setup team, Michael and Bob and Nick. Not here today. Okay, oh well. And welcome guests and visitors. We have.
I'd like to welcome my host and hostess, Jade and Eric.
What? I'd like you to say good morning to my wife here, that she's come this morning to our tape. And I'd also have the pleasure of introducing John McCall from the Snowland Trust, and we'll hear more from John later.
We have a whole table of guests here. Shannon Lloyd, she's from Laguna High School. She's in the counseling department. Kenny Crane is our student of the month. Janelle Crane, his mom, and Ken Crane, his father. And you all know Bob Keiser.
Thank you. Okay. That looks like that's it. Wonderful, thank you. Okay, time to mute all. And I want to wish Jim Gilliam happy birthday, December 7th. Today's his birthday. What do you have to? What do you have to do today, Jim?
3:30, I'm getting a massage, and then I'm going out to dinner tonight. And then, I guess what, is it this week or next week, I'm going over to Marty's for the pie.
Great.
It's this
Sunday. Okay, the 11th. Great. Sounds like fun. And John Birch is on the 9th. He's coming right up.
Thank you. I made it home for my birthday. I'm gonna have a nice little dinner with my mother, my father, and my kids and wife. It's gonna be just a nice little intimate welcome home.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jim. And we have a partner birthday, but it looks like Henry isn't here. And they got married on her birthday. Okay, happy anniversary to them too.
Way to remember it.
Oh, yeah. And Bob Keiser, you joined on 12/12/12. Yeah, what's about Rotary since then that has kept you here?
The thing that's kept me here is Wednesday mornings, 7:30. I live for this, and my best Rotary moment is my next one.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for all you do for Rotary. Appreciate it. Sarah, I love this picture with you in soccer. Tell us what you've been up to.
We started playing games. This was my first game. We won, so that was nice. I was a starter too. Yeah, that was nice. We had 3 games so far, won 2, lost 1. Started all 3. And the 2 other pictures is me instead of Barbara. On Thanksgiving break, we went to LA to celebrate Thanksgiving, which was really, really great.
Okay.
Yeah, Santa Monica, Venice Beach. Great experience, super fun experience, Thanksgiving, turkey, the whole thing. Yeah, we don't have it in Denmark, so that was fun. Yeah, it was a crazy long week, but it was super, super fun and I loved it. Yeah.
It's great. It looks like you're having a good time. I'm so glad you're here, Sarah. Okay, we have a student of the month today, and he has a few words for us, I believe.
Thank you. So our student today is Kenny Crane. His parents met them earlier. So how you doing, buddy?
Good. Great. Thank you.
We got a little bit more for you. So what have you been up to? Tell us what you're doing at home.
For the most part, I mean, I do a lot of like woodworking stuff in my shop. I made a guitar recently, so that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he's made a solid body guitar. I can remember doing that with my son. So, but he's doing this out in the shop by himself. I think that's, very industrious. And I hear you make fishing lures too.
Yeah, I think that's really where I started, like fishing lures, but I don't know, kind of branched out a little bit, work on different kinds of stuff.
Well, that's quite a big branch. I mean, so tell us what you're a senior and what are you thinking about doing next year? Tell us what you're interested in.
Well, next semester I'm going to be dual enrolling, so I'm going to be at Laguna and at the JC, so like half and half. So after that, I'm probably just going to continue at the JC for a while. I'm not sure where after that. We'll see where it goes.
What kind of classes do you think you're going to take?
I'm really interested in sciences, so I'll probably go in like some natural science kind of area.
I can recommend chemistry. Well, we've got a couple of things for you.
Yeah.
So we've got this beautiful plaque for all the hard work that you've done. Let me read it to you. Kenneth Crane is Student of the Month for your exemplary demonstration of respect, responsibility, and rigor, September 22. So this is for September. And we got a little bit of cash for you. You're probably going to need a pickup for that guitar, aren't you? Do you have enough? Well, here's $100. You can at least put a down payment on it. Or maybe you could buy a car with it or something. Yeah. Well, Kenny, thank you for all the wonderful things you've done. And we really appreciate your hard work. Everybody does, because you're going to be our future. So thank you so much, Kenny.
Thank you. Thank you, Kenny. And thank you. And thank you all for being here. I'm so glad. Okay, we had students planting daffodils that we purchased for Laguna. Let's see, what's that? Wayne again. Oh, you're walking away. I was looking for you.
Yeah, so for all of those who don't know, and I think probably most of you do, we bought the school 400 daffodil bulbs to plant. The idea was to maybe plant them around campus, but it's apparently difficult to do that because the guy that mows the lawn doesn't differentiate between daffodils and grass. So what we ended up doing is our good friend Brian here donated, well, I didn't tell you yet, 40 pots, 42-gallon pots. He actually had about 4,000 pots, I think, at work. I work down in the same place as he does. And he loaned them to me. And we planted 7 daffodil bulbs in each of 40 pots, and then we had about 120 left over. So the kids got together and they planted them in one of these raised beds over there. So this spring, we're gonna probably bring some of those pots back here, and you're gonna get to rebuy them again. So that's assuming that you're, I think they will. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Wayne. That was a great project. Okay, Marnie, where are you? Oh, there you are. Tell us about this.
So that's Lanka, my daughter, and Ione, my 4-year-old granddaughter. And they came on Friday afternoon and left Sunday morning. They came in to celebrate my birthday. And that was at the Grove of Old Trees. And Ione loved being around all those huge redwoods.
That's beautiful. What a delight for you. Thank you. And Brian, is Brian here? Okay, there you go. It looks like they're chasing you.
Sorry. Yes. So this was in Golden Gate Park 2 weeks ago. It was the Northern California Championship cross-country race. And luckily it's by age group. So I only had to compete against the 65 to 69-year-olds. But I did well. I was second out of 17 of us. The guy who beat me was by 4 minutes ahead of me. So but this next weekend is the national championship in Golden Gate Park. So I'm going to be there running again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Also want to make one quick announcement. I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and we had our Christmas tree lighting last weekend. And Marnie and Michael Cook made cookies for the kids along with about 10 other folks. And we gave out about 1,000 cookies, and everyone had a good time. Fortunately, we didn't have rain that Saturday night, so that was a blessing.
So I just want to say that this is not your everyday fun run. These are the best in Northern California. People who do these runs are former college and high school state champions and so forth. So this guy is pretty amazing if you don't already know it. The second place could hear it.
That's impressive. Thank you. Oops, we better not fall over here.
Stay on your feet.
It helps. Yeah, little cord here, I'm sorry. Okay. The food bank, looks like we had volunteers working at the Empire Food Bank this last month, and we do this every month. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities this month to work at the food bank. That's coming up. Do we have any announcements? No? Okay. And attitude of gratitude. Anyone feeling grateful today? Ah, David's feeling grateful.
Okay.
There's a lot to be grateful about. Thank you, Marty. So I'm real excited. One of these days, I'm going to get to see a football game with you in it to get it proper. And Denmark did go away, didn't they?
Oh, don't bring that up.
Well, that's because they didn't have you. Well, USA went home too. So I'm extremely grateful. The new house that I live in over in Santa Rosa had 4 redwood trees on a small city lot. And I went through a process with the city of Santa Rosa to get rid of those things, which was rather laborious, but those trees are now removed. 126 foot, 4 of them. I donated them to Sturgeon Sawmill, and they gave me a tax reduction for $12,500. Yeah, so, and it was spectacular, and now I'm not gonna have those things crashing down on my and my neighbor's houses, so I'm feeling pretty good about that, and I'm gonna make a contribution to the Rotary Foundation at the end of the year. It's gonna be my very first required minimum distribution. Though I don't have to do it yet, I'm only 70, but I'm gonna do that, and that's how I'm gonna do it, and I'm kind of excited about going that way. By the way, if you've got a required minimum distribution, if you've got an investment and you want to give it to our club foundation or the Rotary Foundation or any organization you love, now's the time to do it.
Okay, thank you. And Gary,
Thank you, Diana. So my gratitude is different for me, and that's to the Marines. We, a couple of weeks ago, accompanied our uncle and his two last living relatives, my wife and her sister, to the Marine Corps Ball in Reno. And it's one of the more impressive things you see. About 300 young Marines, old Marines, middle-aged Marines, all decked out, most of them in their dress blues, a couple in their dress vests. And it's impressive. We did this twice now. It's really impressive, great thing to see. And you understand that you see the tradition, you see the efficiency, you just see all the good we see out of Marines. And when I talked to Uncle Roy, who was a Marine in Korea and came back with a grievous injury, he says, we're not the heroes. The heroes are the guys who didn't come back. And I counter that. It's not just the guys who didn't come back, and I appreciate that, but it's what you guys are willing to do, what they're willing to do. So it's an impressive thing. It's, if you ever have an opportunity, do it, no matter what your political views are. And there really were no political views expressed. And 300 of these guys singing the Marine Corps hymn in a ballroom in the Grand Sierra Resort in Reno. These guys are all from the Marine Winter Warfare Training Center. Anyone know where that is? Bridgeport. And great thing. So that's my appreciation. Thank you.
thank you, Claire. I have a little leftover here.
That was still full when I left, so I left it there so people could enjoy it. I'm trying to make sure that everyone had chip and dip.
Well,
Or Frank Bardella.
I know it's awfully important, Marty. Come on up, and we're looking forward to it again next year.
No, you're gonna see it, we'll have it Sunday.
Okay, another treat for Marty. Thank you, Marty.
Scott, thanks to you.
Well-
For cleaning.
We have a list coming up. I'm running a little tighter on time, so I'm not going to read every single one of them. It is a lot of volunteer work available for our club and our members, and I will send this out to all of the members. It's just great the way this club steps up and helps our community. I want to thank you for that. We do have, okay, Dan has a word here.
I just want to say one thing. So this, these hands-on volunteer opportunities that we've got coming up, these are many of the things that we look back at the holiday season and remember. It's great to get together with families, great to have gifts, but the things that we do to help those who are less fortunate than us, like helping the food bank, which is a huge need right now. 1 in 6 people in Sonoma County is getting help from the food bank. So we've got to do our part to help that. We're not doing the big meal due to infectious diseases, but we're going to gather food in front of grocery stores. We're going to pack food at the food bank. We're going to hand out food boxes. We're going to hand out toys, all of these things. And I need everybody in the club, please sign up for something. And I need a bunch of people in the club to sign up for multiple things, because there's a bunch of stuff. I got a sign up sheet. We're standing out in front of the stores right here. And some of the things you have to sign up through the food bank website. but you'll get plenty of this on email, and just come see me if you need help doing that. Thanks to all of you in advance for helping and make other people have a wonderful holiday season and filling your heart with the joy of giving.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. And thank you, Dan, for all you do for this club. I don't see how you keep going with everything you've been doing with your community service. It's great. Okay, next week we have Brittany Jensen from the Gold Bridge Resource Conservation District, and this week we have John McCall right here. I didn't introduce you. Good. Well, yeah, Charlie, you'll take over now. Thank you.
So John McCall lived in Sonoma since 2005, and he's been a member of the Sonoma Land Trust since 2013. And he's also the acquisition program manager for the Sonoma Valley region. There's a lot going on in that region. John has been practicing law in California since 1990, providing legal, real estate, and land use planning services. Also with 30 years of lobbying and advocacy in Sacramento for different clients and environmental organizations. He became the SLT's acquisition director in 2020 and now oversees a staff of 4 responsible for implementing the organization's land conservation and GIS programs. The priorities include protecting the natural values of the Sonoma Development Center and the Sonoma Valley Wildlife Corridor, purchasing the Southeast Greenway in Santa Rosa and adding to the protected lands of our region's state and county parks. But John, come on up here.
Good morning, everybody. There we go. Hey, I'm glad to see it so formal here in Sebastopol. It's a lot of pressure on the speaker. Hold on a sec here, what we get? Okay. All right, I'll go this way. Make sure this works. I see. Okay. Good morning, and I have been introduced. I'm the land acquisition director for Sonoma Land Trust. How many folks here know our organization? Oh, this is good. Fun then. Okay. And one of our board members, Ellie, is here this morning. We are so lucky to have her on our board and have a fantastic board of directors who do service as well for our organization. So I'm going to do a little background on who the Land Trust is. If you know us, hopefully this will still be informative. I want to run through an overview of our work in the county right now, and then spend most of my time talking about what we're calling nature nearby. And several of the projects that fit into this category I want to go into more detail on Sonoma Developmental Center, Greenway, and Santa Rosa, and some projects in Petaluma. And then, especially because you do know the organization, I want to have more of a dialogue. If you want to interrupt me, you can go for it. I may or may not recognize you. But let's keep it informal in Sebastopol style. So I hope it's okay to put this up here, Ellie. This is the brand new mission statement for the organization, which isn't that different from our old mission statement. Pretty straightforward, but every word still matters. You have a mission statement. You spend 3 months debating it. Does this feel like something you want to see happen in our county? Does that look good? Does that make sense? Okay. So Sonoma Land Trust got its start in the mid-70s in the Sonoma Valley. And I was talking with the woman up front there. The roots of Sonoma agriculture, the roots of Sonoma Land Trust are in the roots of agriculture in this county. So our founders were in Sonoma Valley, Oak Hill Farm, Otto Teller, and other folks in the valley who mostly were in ag and were concerned about a lot of development happening, a lot of pressure on the land. So in the 45 years that we've been around, we protected almost 60,000 acres of land, and protected is a word that we should talk more about. What does that mean? That's my younger daughter's ringtone, so I always like have to stop. So Sonoma County is 1 million acres and we protected about 20% of that land. And protected means it's in a park. There's some public land, the National Wildlife Refuge down by the bay. It is in private ownership, but protected through what is called a conservation easement, which limits future development. So 20% of our county is protected as open space, wildlife habitat, agricultural lands. There's a goal that the state has established to protect 30% of California by 2030. And that is based on biodiversity, wildlife concerns around extinction. And this is a global phenomenon. So this is the state's effort to address what is called the biodiversity crisis through protecting the land. California is 100 million acres, so there's a long way to go to meet that goal, but we're looking at what that would mean for Sonoma County. So we're a nonprofit. I think you know that, but we frequently get confused with the county's Ag and Open Space District, which is a voter-approved public agency. So sometimes our work and their work very similar, but different model. They're the county, we're a nonprofit. Most of our funding comes still from private donations that supports our operations, staffing, but we get a lot of money, millions of dollars from public grants, public agencies, the state of California, federal agencies to protect the land. It costs a lot of money. When we got our start, the focus was, what are the special places for each community? People would come to the land trust and say, I have this beautiful property, this ranch, I want it protected. It's been in my family for generations. Can you help me? That was very reactive. That was who came to us, who called us. That went on for 20 years. We did great work, but these days we're required to look at things from a landscape scale, from a climate change lens, not just a beautiful view or a particular property that it just is of importance to a local community, but it has a bigger value to the whole environment. We have staff, 28 sounds about right. We have grown a lot over the last decade since I've joined the Land Trust. Our board of directors has grown significantly, and we have 200 volunteers. I don't know, for Rotary, that's just, a couple chapters, but I've always felt that the strength of the Land Trust was this community buy-in for folks who would take their time to do a lot of what you had on your volunteer list for us. So that's a huge advantage. And then conservation easement landowners, I mentioned these before. If someone comes to us and says, we want to protect our ranch, I'm going to call it a ranch, but they could subdivide it, sell it off, make millions of dollars. We will come in, we'll buy off the development rights. Sometimes it's donated, sometimes we purchase those rights. We can buy off vineyard development rights. We can buy housing development, whatever is of value. That family keeps the land. It's restricted forever in terms of what can happen to it. That's what the conservation easement is. It's a contract. Those folks we're in a permanent relationship with whoever owns that land. So that's on here in terms of our people, because again, we don't own those properties, but we are required to enforce the easement. We're required to make sure that the land stays protected in an open space. So that's kind of how we work, our focus and our people. You all, this is your Rotary's strength, is the partnerships, but I just wanted to have this slide up here because whether it's the state of California through Cal Fire or Caltrans, Cal Fish and Wildlife, or so many different nonprofits, we couldn't do our work without a lot of other parties. This is the fun part. So Sonoma is huge, again, 1 million acres, and we've been doing work for 40 years. So this is more of a snapshot of projects that are kind of, maybe say they have 5 to 7 year time frame. If you look back 10 years, you might have seen a different set of projects on here. So for us, geographically, we try to look at the county from a landscape perspective. So the Russian River watershed, that's a unifying way to look at a huge swath of the North County coast.
we've been talking a lot internally. The coast, which I guess you could say from, from the southern tip there at the Estero Americano all the way up to the Mendocino border, another huge region. We've had a long history of protecting areas around Jenner and Pole Mountain. Don't have a lot of active projects there right now, but maybe that'll change soon. So the Sonoma Valley and Mountain area, which is where when I started in 2013, it's a whole nother region where we try to have a person for each region who leads that effort, who knows the landscape, knows the people, knows who to talk to. And then our Baylands, which is everything along Highway 37, but you have to think of it as the Petaluma River watershed and Sonoma Creek. So those 4 regions allow us to break the county up into manageable units, at least to think about. We need more staff and we need more resources to pull this off, though, to get to that 30% goal. This is just a snapshot of our evolution. I was mentioning 1975, Otto Teller and Ann Teller, it was Oak Hill Farm. And if you need a wreath, drive over to Sonoma Valley. They're only open on Saturdays, but beautiful farm. They've sold flowers for decades to the San Francisco Flower Market. Anyway, those folks started the land trust. We, for the first 10 years, we had an office in Sonoma. One of our longtime staffers, she remembers having a file cabinet. We were one file cabinet in a part-time office in Sonoma and protected a couple thousand acres of land, but really picked up steam and grew. I think our moment was in the early 2000s when we got involved in protecting Sears Point on Highway 37. You may remember there was a casino proposal there. We ended up working with the Federated Indians of Great Rancheria to turn that around and get that land protected and now restored to tidal marsh, and work with the tribe to have their casino open in North Park. So they were very instrumental in getting this land protected down by the bay. And then the other kind of defining project for us is Jenner Headlands. That's 6,000 acre property now owned by the Wildlands Conservancy. The land trust was the lead in purchasing that, and hopefully you've had a chance to get out there. Such a great place. And then more recently, especially with our board, I mentioned changes, and there's been such an emphasis on us needing to expand our membership. Sorry, I've got my back to you this whole time.
That's because I'm sitting behind you.
Okay. It's like speaker rule 101. Sorry, got distracted there for a second. Thank you. Our membership has a demographic that is not the demographic of Sonoma or California. We've got to reach new audiences, have a more diverse membership, get the next generations. Oh, he left. He must have had to go to school. Your student of the month. The next generation, we've been doing a lot more work in terms of public education, Bay Camp, working with high school and older students on a conservation council. It's not my work, but it's so important of being successful. All right. We have 6 different ways that we are trying to frame our work, have a strategic plan, which we're in the middle of extending through 2028. So this is the framework for, it's not just describing our work, but it's actually trying to use climate change as a way to give us prioritization, help us prioritize, and do the most important thing we can for the challenges we're facing. So I'm going to run through each of these pretty quickly. Biodiversity, I mentioned before, diversity of plant and animal species. Sonoma County and the Bay Area is a hotspot, which is an interesting word because it means that there's an exceptional level of diversity of species here, but it's also an area that's threatened with all the, whether it's development or fire and climate change impacts. So this has been the main framing of our work around the Sonoma Developmental Center and protecting a regional wildlife corridor that extends from Point Reyes all the way into the Berryessa Mountains. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly, but then we can come back. So protecting biodiversity, really focused in on the Sonoma Valley region. Not to say that this map shows a network of the green areas are important corridors for wildlife movement and that connect to large important blocks of habitat. So in 2017, 5 different land trust owned properties burned in the 2017 fires, from Sears Point all the way up to Calistoga Road and Alexander Valley. We were impacted by the fires as an organization in a way that I don't think we ever would have anticipated. And it changed. It certainly, our work with fire, which might have been down in a second tier of things we wanted to do, became everything. And yeah, I have my own, we all have our own stories around the fire, but what the response again, this is a map here of Sonoma Valley, Kenwood's right in the middle, Glen Ellen here. The response is that we teamed up with state parks, county ag and open space to form the Sonoma Valley Wildlands Collaborative. And we got a couple $1 million of CAL FIRE funding. And now we're doing control burns, cutting shaded fuel breaks, working with CAL FIRE so they have the gate codes, know how to go stage on that country that we own land on. So this is about 18,000 acres of land that's now being cooperatively managed. It'll help protect Glen Ellen and Kenwood and future fires. We can't do it all, but the fires come through the wildlands, the wildland urban interface. So it's been really exciting to see, the scale of our response. What we have to do in California is immense, but we're doing something. Highway 37 is going to go underwater. The projections of sea level rise over the next probably 100 years is that has to be elevated. Highway 37 has to be elevated. It's flooded and been closed at certain points, 2019. So going back to the project at Sears Point, which is right where Lakeville comes into 37, we've flooded up 1,000 acres of marshland there. You can go there. Bay Trail is there. You can just park right at the intersection and have a nice hike. We have to do that restoration for about 10,000 acres of land in the Sonoma Creek and Petaluma River watersheds in the next few years to keep ahead of sea level rise. And so that means working with Caltrans on a huge project to do an elevated causeway from Vallejo to somewhere in Marin. And it's gotten us into highway planning, or I should say transportation planning. Like you have to have a bridge long enough for the tides to come under so they can get up in the creeks. So it's stretched our role from just trying to buy land down there to working with Caltrans on highway planning. I could say a lot more about this, but I'm just going to keep moving. A little closer to home, I hope this map, I know it's a little hard to see here, but you think of the Russian River, think of all the major creeks that flow into it from Geyserville, Cloverdale, all the way down, the river's huge. And so what we did is we picked the 5 most important, what we call subwatersheds. So those are the creeks flowing into the Russian, the tributaries, Mahama, Mill Creek, Mark West, Green Valley, and Dutchville. Those are the most important for salmon and steelhead. You need to have water flowing in the system that's cold year-round. If we can protect these upper lands, they're mostly upper elevation, get more water in the system, it'll help the salmon throughout the system and in the main stem of the Russian. So we spent about a year trying to figure out where's the best, what's the most important area, and where's the leverage. And the leverage is a new whole new tool of land protection, which is water protection. If you are a rancher or farmer and you can save some water, still do your business, can we work with you to help you do water conservation and get that water back in in the system. There's many tools to try to do that, but that's what we're going to be working on in the next few years. And I know there's a really exciting project in Green Valley right inside Creighton that hopefully you'll be hearing more about soon. Excuse me. So we call it freshwater flows. Okay. And so this is where I want to. I gotta speed up here, but that's okay. Okay, preserving nature nearby. So the land trust for most of our tenure have worked way outside of town. Matter of fact, we had a board policy that said we wouldn't work inside an urban limit because we don't want to get involved in land use. It's not trying to get in the middle of, you know, whether a property should be developed or whether it shouldn't. That's the last place we want to be. We want to be able to work with everyone. And so we've stayed out of doing projects inside cities historically, not anymore. Making sure that everybody has access to nature nearby. I think we take it for granted out here. Sebastopol has a really good park system, a fantastic bike and corridor connection system, and a lot of nature nearby. You get out to the beach, 20 minutes. So on a good day. So anyway, that's not something that everyone enjoys. And certainly in urban areas, being able to walk to a park within 10 minutes, which is kind of a standard that we're using as a metric, isn't available to a lot of folks, certainly in Santa Rosa in certain communities. So we've shifted, we've expanded, we're doing a new set of projects over the last decade that include the Sonoma Developmental Center, which, as many of you know, was closed as a developmental center by the state. They're in the middle of finalizing a plan for redevelopment of the campus and all the open space. The white boundary on this map is SPC. All the green you see, 750 acres, that's going to get transferred into Jack London State Park and Sonoma County Regional Park starting next year. So it's a huge new park asset for a community that is more rural, but doesn't necessarily have easy access to parks, whether you think of the town of Sonoma or the community just to the south. So we got into this to protect the open space and wildlife corridor there. The work we're doing also includes increasing access to parkland. This project is the one that really, I think, changed our view of our mission, and that's the Southeast Greenway in Santa Rosa, a 3-mile linear corridor from Farmers Lane to Spring Lake. Does everybody know whether you know it's there or not? Yeah, well, Caltrans wouldn't let you, and there's a few places where you can cross. But this is a great map that shows the connection. So we're working with the city to buy this abandoned right-of-way from Caltrans. Hopefully everything goes well by late 2024, we'll have this done. We got the money in the bank. We've got a good working relationship with the city. Caltrans is just slow. They require things that maybe a surveyor in the 1800s would want to see. But it's moving forward, and it's going to be so exciting because it actually, this is an example of the city that doesn't have easy access to parks, and now you could bike from downtown to Spring Lake. So that's a project that basically the city of Santa Rosa, I don't know about Sebastopol, but city of Santa Rosa and city of Petaluma, they don't have park departments that have been funded or supported for the challenges that they face. If you look at the development in Santa Rosa, along Santa Rosa Ave, if you've driven by there recently, there's hundreds of apartments and units going in. Where are the parks? And so we are working with cities, and I'm not criticizing them, it's just that their park agencies haven't been a priority for the tax dollars. So we're stepping in to provide technical assistance, to buy land. This project is technical assistance, so McNear Peninsula, Petaluma, if folks know this in the city. Petaluma, Friends of the Petaluma River have their red barn out on this, you access it off D Street. A private group, Petaluma River Park Foundation, purchased this, it's fill, it was dredge fill from the river, purchased this land about three years ago and are turning it into a public park. So it's, our role has been funding, and then how do you talk to the community to design a park? So we've actually been helping them with how to do community outreach. So that's it. Those are the three I wanted to talk about. And thank you so much. Happy to answer questions.
We have time just for a couple of questions, and then if you can stay after, I'd appreciate it to talk with people.
I have a question. So if you've got a ranch that's under the Williamson Act, would you still buy it under the Conservation Act so that they couldn't wane out of it and then subdivide it?
Yeah, we work with land frequently is under the Williamson Act. And basically, you do an easement, you end up phasing out because it's redundant. It has more protections usually than the Williamson Act. So yeah, we deal with that all the time.
So then they get to keep their property taxes low. It's under the Conservation Act and the Williamson.
Yeah, once you get the easement in place, it'll give you better tax benefits even than Williamson Act.
Than the Williamson.
Yeah.
Cool.
You said that lands get protected forever. How do you enforce that?
With lawyers. It's funny you should ask. No, so we have 56 easements. I believe that 56, 58. So we have 58 relationships with property owners, and those they change when people, the big challenge is when somebody sells the land. Because usually the folks that we negotiated an easement with, they were 100% bought in, but it sells new situations. So up on Bennett Valley Road, we have a property that we refer to as the Drake easement. That was the woman who entered into it. It's sold, and the new owners decided to try to move a 150-year-old oak tree to the site of their house, dig it up, drag it across the property, and plant it in front of a new McMansion. The first tree didn't work, so they picked another one. We ended up bringing it to court. It was a battle royale, and we won at the trial court level. We won at the appellate court level, and now there's case law that says don't mess with us because you can't. We have a special insurance that we carry to defend easements. That is an extreme example. Just to be clear, most of the people we work with, there's minor issues all the time. You know, we have to, people want to put on a new deck. I mean, we don't get into the micromanagement, but it is a real issue. And, you know, land trusts have been around for 40, 50 years, and we're just starting to see what forever means.
I want to thank you. We're running short on time. Also, here you go. Thank you very much. That was just terrific, and please be safe. Okay, what if I pull, do I get out of here? Escape, is that how I do it? Oh, you're magic. Thank you very much. Okay, we have this week's drawing. Okay. And okay.
Oh, you're gonna give me, what are we in your hand? 37. 33. So, Marty.
No?
Where are you coming?
Well, try again. It's too late.
Yeah, probably. 37, 45. Hey. The wrong one. Let's get richer.
Oh, no red one. Okay, well, here you go then. Yeah. Okay, Brian Bauer, you have a joke for us. He took off without telling his joke? Oh, we have Rod. He passed it on. Okay, thank you.
Brian sold the joke his poor raffle tickets. You see what they were. So. Well, I'm gonna rehearse one that some of you heard before. I can't think of any other right now. But you know, the Glaswegians, Edinburghers in Scotland, they're the two main cities of Scotland, about 50 miles apart. They don't get along. They don't think well of each other. But Hamish or Ouija had moved over to Edinburgh and lived next door to Angus, who's a burger. And one day Angus is out in his backyard and he looks over the fence. And Hamish is digging a hole in the ground. He's got his favorite birds piling up. And Hamish says, "Hey, Angus, what you digging there?" And Angus says, "Well, I'm digging a grave for me pet." And Hamish says, "Oh, hi, that's a pretty big hole. What's your pet?" And Angus says, "Well, it's me wee budgie." And Hamish says, "You need a hole that big for a wee budgie?" And Angus says, it's inside your cat."
Thank you. Okay. Well, shall we sing Happy Trails?
Happy.